Hello, guys. We're welcome back to the prep. So, without wasting of much time, we'll be going straight to the continuation from where we started with. We are done with the introduction to this course. We talked about what learning is and what learning is not, and the introductory theories and all that. So, yes, and yesterday we did how do you call it? Yesterday we did classical conditioning, the part one and the part two. Okay. So today, without wasting of much time, we are going into operant conditioning or instrumental conditioning. To begin with, my name is Siddik Salis, and I'm to facilitate this peer-to-peer prep, meaning we are preparing towards exams. So this is a kind of revision for us. Okay, so yesterday we talked about in a nutshell, we talked about the application of classical conditioning in different phase of our lives. And today we'll be doing the same after going through the revision of instrumental and operant conditioning. I mentioned the purpose, and I said the purpose is that the reason I go through this before maybe going to the main point like application, let's say that's what we are expecting at the essay side. I make emphasis on the feeling and then the objectives. So we shouldn't lose focus on that, okay? Once again, we are welcome back to this very platform. If this is your first time seeing this video, then don't hesitate to look at the first video, the second, and the third. Okay, I think this will be the fourth one, if I'm correct. And I'll be using Dr. Inusa's slides as usual. Okay, and if you are seeing this on Faculty of Intellectuals on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. You can also ask a question if you have one under the comment section, or leave a comment, and you also be encouraged. I encourage you, I urge you, I plead with you to also like, okay, and share the video for others to also benefit from this. Okay, let's go in. Okay, so as we can see, according to our lovely doctor's slide, this is session 5, instrumental and operant conditioning, part 1. As usual, I'll just show you the outline and then we jump into it, okay? So let's go. So this is what we are going to look at. So we'll be looking at instrumental learning by Thorndike, okay? The end is pronounced as Dyke, just like and Nike, okay? Thorndike. Okay, so then we'll be looking at B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning. In case you have been seeing B.F. Skinner all this while, there's a full name, Beard Frederick Skinner. So he called his own operant conditioning, okay? Then how we'll look at forming and strengthening operant behaviors. How do we form operant behaviors, and how do we strengthen them, okay? Or what are the factors that affect them? Okay. So here, Edward Lee Thorndike's instrumental or try and error learning. Why is its own called instrumental learning or conditioning? Okay. And why is this one called operant conditioning? We'll also be looking at that. Okay. So let's start. So we have to know one thing. Edward Thorndike was the first American psychologist in associative learning, stimulus response theories. Okay, he was the first American. Remember, psychology has been usually by the Germans, right? So Edward Thorndike, when it comes to stimulus response theories, you remember yesterday we talked about that. If it's your first time hearing it, then you need to go back to yesterday. You need to go back to the previous videos, okay? Okay, so conducted a series of experiments on learning using animals. Okay, introduced the concept of reward in learning. Okay, this kind of learning referred to as instrumental because, so this is the point I want you to note because it usually appears in objectives and feelings. Okay, why do we call instrumental learning? Remember, why do we call this one instrumental learning or instrumental conditioning? Remember, I said that from the beginning that we will look at that. Why is that? Why is it that we call this instrumental learning? This is the reason. We say that the behavior of an individual is instrumental in producing various outcomes, positive or negative. So the person, in this case, the person himself, okay, the readiness of the person, okay, how do you call it? The practice of the person and the outcome of the person's actions is very, very key. Very, very key. Where do you find key? In instrument, right? So it's very instrumental, it's very key, it's very paramount, very essential in shaping the person's behavior. What did I say? I say the person's, how do you call it? Readiness, the person's readiness, the person's willingness to practice, okay? And then the consequence or the consequences, positive or negative feedbacks, okay, from the person's actions also help. So these three things help in shaping the person's behavior. So for you, in this case, for someone to actually be, how do you call it? Someone's behavior to be shaped. We are saying that the person himself, okay, is instrumental, it's essential, it's, how do you call it? Very key for the change of the person's behavior. That's what we are saying. So that is the reason why instrumental learning is called instrumental learning. I hope you understand. Now, how does this come about? This will come about when you have tried something, okay? Then the feedback. Then you try again and your willingness to try again. That's why it's also called try and error learning. If you go back to the outline, that's what they called it. Try and error learning. I hope you've seen that. Great. Okay. So let's move on. So how did they come about the studies? So Thorndike studied the behavior of cats. So he used cats, okay, trying to escape from homemade puzzle boxes. So when first constrained in the box, the cat took a long time to escape. With experience, ineffective responses occurred less frequently and successful responses occurred more frequently. So the cat, there was a puzzle. The cat needs to pass through something for him to escape, right? Okay, so when the cat continued to do that over and over again, he was more successful than unsuccessful. He was more successful. He's able to, as time passes, he's able to do it quickly. So this is what we call like practice makes perfect, right? So that's what I mean. The person needs to practice something. If you want to be perfect at something, you need to continue practicing that thing, okay? And that's why for me, I think I've done academics, I've done academia throughout my life, all my life. And that's why when you put me in a corporate setting like this, when you put me in the corporate setting like this, I'll still be missing the classroom. I'm still missing the classroom. That's why I'm still with you here. You understand? Because I think I've done that over time and I'm more comfortable doing that. Okay, so the cats escaped in less time over successful trials. Okay, from the beginning, you struggle, then you struggle less, then you struggle, before you know, it becomes your soft sponge. Okay, so based on the experiment, 3 laws were propounded. 3 laws. I've mentioned that already, but this is what you have to keep in mind. The 3 laws that were propounded during these studies, that's the law of effect, the law of exercise, and the law of readiness. So the law of effect, what is the effect? The effect is the feedback. Okay, the effect is the feedback. When you do something, the response you're going to get, okay, the feedback is going to determine whether you're going to do that again or not, right? So the feedback, the effect was very important. Remember, this is what B.H. Frederick Skinner also took further to study operant conditioning. We'll come to that later, okay? The law of effect. So the response you are getting whilst you are doing the thing is going to determine whether you're going to keep pushing or not, okay? Meaning if it's a negative response, you are either going to find another way or just abandon it, okay? You touch something and it shocks you, you will not touch it again unless you use another way by touching it with a cloth or something. So you still touch it, but then you find you are sensitized now, okay? You are sensitized now. You are now aware of what this thing could do. So you are more prepared in a different way so that you will escape that punishment, as we will see ahead. So the first one is the law of effect. The second one is the law of exercise. Law of exercise, I've mentioned that already, okay? So you keep on doing something, and then before you know, you struggle less in doing that, okay? The last one is the law of readiness. The person himself, okay, should be physically and physically, mentally, spiritually prepared, okay, to do that thing, okay? If not, then remember sometimes when you are trying to encourage someone to study or something, if the person is not willing to learn, the person is, but like the body is not willing, or the mind is not willing. If any of them fails, the person, your effort to go in the trash. It will yield no fruit. Okay, so these are the three laws that were found or were propounded during the studies or the outcome of the study. Okay, the law of effect, the law of readiness, the law of exercise, and the law of readiness. Okay, so I wouldn't read all this. I've explained them. The reason I'm saying, the reason I'm saying I've explained this. This one is talking about the law of effect. If you wish, you can read them, but there's no time. The law of exercise, the law of readiness. Okay, so we are done with that. So we are now coming to B.F. Skinner. Remember, this is a revision. So in case you see me moving too fast, I'm not moving too fast. I'm just focusing on some most important things. Let me say more important. They are all important, but this one, to me, if I'm the one preparing for the exams, these are the things I'll be looking out for. And when I was preparing, these are the things I also looked out for, okay, together with my colleagues. And this is what I've been doing at least for the past 6 years. Okay, so I'm saying this so that you not lose focus. You not be reading things that you may need them, but maybe not at this point. Okay, B.H. Frederick Skinner's operant conditioning. Okay, so remember I said we also talk about why is it called operant conditioning. So remember we said even the learning itself, the learning theory, we stated from the beginning that it was found in the 1900s. Okay, 1900s going. And these people, they really reigned for years. Behaviorists reigned till today, until the coming of cognitive psychology, which we'll talk about that one later. Anyways, let's move on. So B.F. Skinner formulated operant conditioning, a more detailed analysis of Thorndike's conception of learning. So operant condition, why is it called operant? From the word to operate, right? The one operating is the operant. So we should know this. Okay? Or how do you call it? The state of operating, what you are operating, okay, that makes the thing operant, okay? For example, for you to say be vigilant, okay? Be vigilant. What again? Be constant. I hope you understand. So operant, because you, the individual, needs to operate. The individual needs to operate in his environment. The outcome of the environment, the operation, will now determine or his how do you call it, modification of behavior. That will determine how his behavior is going to be modified. I hope you understand. Great. So that's why it's called operant conditioning, because the individual, the organism, needs to operate in its environment. So here I said an organism had to operate on his environment to produce a certain effect. Remember the law of effect, what I mentioned about the law of effect, the feedback. You remember that? Great. Okay, so the basic principle behind operant conditioning is the fact that if behavior is repeatedly followed by outcomes that are pleasing to the learner, the behavior is likely to be performed more often or more often under similar conditions. So if, let's say, anytime you feel headache, okay, or you feel pain, there's a particular drug you take and you are relieved of the pain. What do you think will happen the next time you are feeling the pain? You go back, or someone gave you that drugs or medicine. Okay, so next time you are feeling the pain, you go back to it. So why did you go back to it? You say because the last time you took it and it was good. Mm-hmm. So that's how it works. What if you took an ice cream or the drug made you drowsy and you understand? What do you think will happen the next time? Would you go and take it back? Or you touch a hot pan and it bent you. I made example with the iron. You touch beneath the iron whilst it was plugged and switched on, shocked you. Would you do that next time? So the outcome, the feedback from the environment would determine the modification of the behavior. So if it is bad, if it's unpleasant, it is less to be repeated. If you do something and you are being caned, it is assumed that it's less uh, to repeat that, how do you call it, that same behavior. But if you do something and you are being rewarded, okay, then you will repeat that again. Okay. So that's the Skinner's box. You know, we've heard it before, right? Skinner used this box in his experiment. Okay, so a hungry rat was put in Skinner box, and after roving about, it will accidentally press a lever, which allows it to move out to get food in another chamber. So yes, there's a box as we can see. So if he's able to press the right one, it will open for him to go and get food, right? Okay, so it's left for him to now be pressing the correct one. Okay. So Skinner observed that after a period of time, the cat could get the food quickly by pressing the lever in a short time to get out. Because getting the food is something good, right? A pleasant reward, okay? A pleasing reward, we say. So now that he has discovered, okay, so if I press this one, I'll be able to go out quick. Remember, practice makes perfect, right? So he saw that. So anytime you want to get out, then he pressed that one. Okay. So these are the components. We're talking about the components of operant conditioning. We're talking about reinforcer and positive reinforcer. So reinforcer, we're talking about positive and negative reinforcers, and we'll talk about punishment. We'll talk about the negative and positive punishments, but very brief. We're going to do it very brief. Okay, so reinforcer. What are reinforcers? Reinforcer is something that is we say to motivate you, okay? It's to motivate you. It's to strengthen the behavior, okay? After you've done something, okay? After you've done something and then there's something to ginger you, okay? So meaning reinforcers are used to motivate a desired behavior, right? It's used to motivate or strengthen a desired behavior. And for the purpose of this course, I'm using other jargons for us to understand, okay? Understand it better. Okay, I'm using other jargons for us to grasp it better. But for the purpose of this course, I'll be using strengthen and weaken instead of like ginger or motivate. Okay, we'll be using motivation in other contexts. But for the purpose of this course, let's use strengthen. So reinforcers are to strengthen behavior. Punishers are to discourage, are to weaken undesired behaviors. Reinforcers are to strengthen desired behaviors. Punishers are to discourage, but here I'll use weaken non-pleasing or unpleasant or non-desiring yes, I'll use non-desiring or undesiring or undesired behaviors. I hope you understand. Great. So, sorry. Sorry. Okay, so with regards to reinforcers, we have primary reinforcers and then secondary reinforcer. Let's see if we will see that here. Okay, here. So primary reinforcers, we say it is an innate means it's with us, like instinctually, it's with us. We need to, so it's innately satisfying stimulus. Okay, what it means is that it's to satisfy our biological. When we say something is innate, we mean it's biological, like it's with us. You understand? It calls like it works on our biology. It works with it from our gene. You understand? Okay, so for example, examples are here like food, water, and sex. You remember the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Yeah, the first one, the primary one. Okay, the basic needs. Okay, food, water, sex. Okay, sleep. These are basic things, right? Okay, so some reinforcers are basic. You understand? You need them to survive. And for some, we call them secondary, okay? Because we need them to strengthen the primary one. Example is money, okay? When we get money, what do we use it for? To buy food, to build house, to sleep. How do you call it? To get married and have sex, right? To buy water, right? We use this money, it's secondary. That is not the primary. So we use secondary reinforcers to strengthen, how do you call it? Or to acquire primary reinforcers. Good. So let's talk about the positive and negative reinforcers. So this is where I have been patient anytime I get here since I started facilitating tutorials with you guys from level 100. Okay, so positive reinforcers. Positive and negative here, I said don't understand it to be like an English jargon, okay? Understand it to be like mathematical. When we say positive in math, we mean addition. When we say negative, we mean subtraction, right? Okay, great. Okay, so positive reinforcement, meaning to be added, so to add something, okay, to add a reinforcer. Okay, so what do we mean? So we mean for you to give something like something, add something to the person, okay? Such as the person scores good marks or wrote well, then you give the person some grades, okay? Or you promote the person, okay? Or you give the person chocolate. You see, all these things are addition to the person's life. So that's positive reinforcers. Negative reinforcers, I said, understand it to be mathematical. So negative means to take away, okay? To take away. So here it means, now remember here, when you are giving someone grade, good grade, food, chocolate, water, money, okay, praising the person, and all these things, remember that it is desiring to the person. So positive reinforcers is to add something pleasant, okay, to the person's life, okay? Is to add something pleasant, something that the person will be happy to have. Negative reinforcer then. What are negative reinforcers? They are reinforcers, negative, that is meant to reinforce, meaning to energize, to strengthen, just like the first one. Both are to strengthen behavior. Remember, I said that from the beginning, reinforce are to strengthen. But this time around, you are going to take something away just to strengthen the person. So for example, you've told one student in your class that he's not going out for break because of something he did wrong. Then there was a time he scored some marks from a homework or something. Then you said, okay, because you scored this mark, today you'll be going, because you scored such mark, today you'll be going out for break. You've taken away the burden that he doesn't like staying indoors whilst his friends are playing. So you've taken that how do you call it, burden of being lonely away from him, okay, so that he'll be doing what other people are doing. Or you say, because you've done well this week, you are not going to sweep. See, who likes to sweep? Who likes to be alone? No one. So that's a burden. Okay, that's something unpleasant. You are taking it away. So just like that. So the person, you'd be like, okay, so you took away the person's allowance. And you said, because you've done this, you see, you've taken the person's allowance. Or should I say allowance? No, that would not make much sense. So let me use something else. Bring your own, give your own example of negative. Taking away something unpleasant. You can type that in the comment section. Okay. You take something away from the person just so that the person will now have the pleasantry to do what other people are doing. Okay. Okay, so remember, reinforcers, whether positive or negative, we always strengthen behavior. Now, okay, punisher. I asked you guys when you were level 100, if you remember that, what do you think negative punishment is? And my guess was as right as the person said it. Say like negative punishment, you Panama. All right. Anyway, that's not what it is. Positive punishment also doesn't mean it's you just touch the person small. So positive punishment and negative. Positive and negative here, they are also what? They are also mathematical. Okay. So positive punishment means you are adding something which is unpleasant, the person doesn't like. So you are putting it on the person so that that behavior the person displayed will be discouraged in this context, as I will say, weakened, so that the person will not repeat that again. So the person did something and then you cane the person. So that's positive punishment. So the caning is positive punisher. Or you made a person carried a stone. See, addition. You're adding something unpleasant. Okay. Or you give the person bad grades because of his poor performance. You're adding something. He sees it and is not happy. So anything at all that, or you say, because you've done this, you're going to sweep. Because you've done so and so, which is wrong, it is undesired behavior, you are going to sweep. You're going to sweep the whole week. No one will assist you. Okay? So that's positive punishes. Negative, you are taking away, right? So negative punishment, you are taking away something pleasant to the person, but you are taking it away from the person so that the person will feel unpleasant. Something is pleasant, it makes the person happy. You are not taking away so that the person will not feel happy because of that undesired behavior the person displayed. Why? So that the person will not repeat that behavior again. So you are discouraging the behavior. In this context, I said, I will say what? You are weakening the behavior. What are some examples? The kid does something, you're like, okay, I'm taking away your allowance. You're not going to get allowance for this week. Or you take away the video game. Or you reduce the money you give to him for lunch. Anything at all you take away from the person, okay? So that the person will feel the heat. Right, so that is negative punishment. Okay, I think we are done with this. You can look at it yourself later. Forming and strengthening operant conditioning. Okay, so one is shaping. That's the method of successive approximation. The most important mechanism used in forming operant behavior is shaping. This refers to the use. So what is shaping? This refers to the use of selective reinforcement to bring about certain desirable changes in the behavior of an organism. So when you are going to, how do you call it, strengthen the behavior of someone, you need to be selective of what you're going to reward the person with. Let me put it that way. Okay. Reinforcement is like you're rewarding. So what are you going to reward the person with? So the selection you do from them is what we call shaping, because that's going to shape the behavior of the person. It is a procedure in which reinforcers guide behavior toward a desired goal. To use shaping, break down the final expected complex behavior into a number of smaller steps. Okay, so I think we don't need this much. A timing of reinforcement. When should you reinforce? It should be very close. It should be as soon as possible. Okay, the proximity should be very close. The person should find a link between the reward and the behavior. Okay, so the timing is very important. Size of reinforcement, very important. Okay, some people go and win national maths quiz and then you dash them crate of eggs. But someone won some irrelevant stuff and then you dash the person dollars, thousands of dollars. Okay, so you have to look at what the person has gained and then you look at the size of the reward. Okay, it's very important. Type of reinforcement used. So some reinforcers may be much more appealing to certain individuals than others. There are some people, guys, there are some people. Do you know sometimes when we want to gift someone something, we know that if I give this 50 Ghana to this person will not appreciate it. But there is something that this person may love to have. But out of what we may not know, maybe busy schedule or something, the person has not been able to get that thing or where to go and get that thing. So you go and get that thing and you reward the person with that thing. The person will be happier than you giving the person 50 Ghana cedis. You understand? So you need to look at the type. If it's a kid and you buy a kid, let's say 2 years old kid, that's something, or let's say 3 years or 4 years, and you buy the kid iPhone 15. Do you think the kid knows what iPhone 15 is? So you have to look at the type of reinforcers you're giving to the kid. Okay, you buy some toy that is far less than iPhone 15 and the child will appreciate that and recognize that as a reinforcer. Superstitious behavior in learning. Superstitious behavior in learning is usually when, for example, you wore a certain uniform to class or to write exams and you performed so well. So in your mind, anytime maybe you wore a jalabia or something like that, or you wore a veil or duku, what we call duku. So because you think because you wore that thing, it made you remembered everything vividly on that, and you performed so well. The exam results came and you got an A. So you think, okay, so anytime I put on this veil, I put on the jalabia, the jelbab, I perform so well. Okay, so you keep on doing. So that's superstitious behavior in learning. This can also strengthen behavior sometimes. So, for example, they are just superstitious. Anytime you feel frightened, you drink series, okay, apple grapes, and then you're okay. So you think, okay, that's how it works. Maybe that. So that's just superstition, anyways. There's an example here. For instance, it cannot be proven that it is the color of the jersey worn that makes a team win a particular game. Okay. So this is also superstition. How can you prove that using science? Remember, psychology is science. All right. Mm-hmm. But if it is a jersey, should someone wear the same jersey? Would the person be able to perform well? Okay, so we are done with this session. So we'll meet in the next session. Okay, let's see the time we have. Okay, I think we have some time, so let's see if we can continue. No, I guess we have less time. So let's continue in the next session. Okay, so see you. If you have not subscribed, please do. My name, once again, is Siddik Salis, and this is the Faculty of Intellectuals.